Okay, good morning. It is 9:03 a.m., September 4th, 2024. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Camino Real Regional Mobility Authority Board. Raymond, would you do roll call and then advise if we have any comments from the public?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Smith? Here. Ms. Bettis?
Here.
Ms. Enriquez?
Here.
We do have a quorum and no comments or speakers signed up today.
Okay, fine. The second item is discussion and action on an election of an alternate secretary.
Yes, ma'am. Raymond Tejas, Executive Director of the...
Is the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped that. But I'm sorry, item number 2, adoption of the minutes from the board meeting of August 14. Has everyone had a chance to review?
Move to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, discussion and action on election of an alternate secretary.
Thank you, Raymond Tejas, Executive Director. This item, this is a position that has not been filled in quite some time, so we figured we would bring this back to the board for action.
Who was the alternate secretary?
We don't have one.
We've never had one?
We haven't had one in quite some time since
Do
the
we
last
need one?
election. I think it could be helpful in the event that Ms. Bettis, as the secretary, is unavailable to us.
Okay. Would you be interested maybe in designating Ms. Byrd as an alternate secretary? I know at one time she was both secretary treasurer, but then we spread it out. I'm assuming that's just in case somebody's not here.
That's right.
And it might be easier to have one person just be the alternates because she's going to do the treasurer's signatures anyway, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Otherwise, we'd have to, I mean, we could designate Laura or somebody else, but then we'd have to make sure she was available, and if she wasn't, I just think it's simpler if you need to do it for that purpose.
I can tell you, too, the alternate secretary can be a non-board member. So in the past,
Oh,
we've used
okay.
Mr. Studer as the
Well,
alternate.
that's even better if that's okay with the board.
I like it.
All right, well, if that's an option, which I didn't realize, we'll put him in charge of being
Do I
the
get to be on the
alternate
letterhead
secretary. You don't get a raise, sorry.
You get a nice pen.
It's under other duties. Other duties as described in your vague job description there.
Do we have to do like a motion at all?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to designate Mr. Studer as the alternate secretary in the event of absence of the board secretary. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Number 5, presentation, discussion, and action on a board resolution authorizing the award of the Valley Chili Reconstruction Project to the lowest responsible bidder.
Yeah, I think you skipped item number 4 on the strategic
Am I
plan.
skipping things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm moving fast through the meeting, so keep your roller skates on. Okay, item 4, discussion and action on the adoption of the RMA's 2024-2029 strategic plan. We had a detailed discussion with Tracy at the last meeting. I thought it was a very good process this year. And we did some really good updates and modernization and added some stuff, a lot more, I think, specifics in terms of detail. Some things came up at the meeting that we agreed we would add, and I believe those were distributed to everybody that were redlined. And so unless we have any questions or concerns about that requiring further discussion, I'd like to have a motion so we could go ahead and adopt it.
So moved.
So we have a motion.
Second.
Second. Mr. Smith, any discussion? Are you okay with everything?
No, I thought it was an amazing session. I sent Tracy an email thanking her because she, as usual, did an amazing job.
She did a good job, yeah.
Did everything, and there's a lot of stuff in there that we need to get moving with the planning committee and involving some of our other entities and such as our GECs and TxDOT, that kind of thing. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff on that plate there and that plan, and I think we need to move on.
And we agreed that you would take the lead now that Mary Beth's not here
Yes.
and head up the planning committee and get that organized
Yes.
and launched. I know that your term is ending next year, and that there's not an opportunity for, you're termed out, unfortunately for us. But there was a discussion about not necessarily having to have a board member, provide some leadership on that, and so if you're willing to stay engaged, I think we would very
Yeah,
much
I will.
appreciate that.
It's near
On the
and dear to
planning
my heart.
committee, yeah.
So.
And I think,
And I would go through a technical verification of when my term's over, because there's some gray area in there that I don't quite understand.
I just made a note to do that exact thing, to
Oh.
figure
yeah, I want to
out
make sure it's
precisely
really
when
up
his
in
term is.
February, and he
Right.
stays on until they replace him.
Yeah. we'll
So
look
you
into
don't
that.
leave until they actually replace you, and given like how fast they're moving, you could be here for a while, which would be good for us.
No, but there is some, because I think I initially came in on an unexpired term, or somebody, I don't understand all of them.
Yeah, and I don't know if that
mechanics,
counts
but
against the entire term, or if it's four
I
full
don't know either,
terms.
so.
8-year
Excuse me,
max?
8-year max, yes, ma'am.
So
So
if-
we'll do the math.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Well, he'll do the math.
Under other
That means-
duties,
that means that-
under other duties.
That's
That means I came here as a teenager, is
Yeah.
what you tell you, right?
That's right.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a motion and second. We haven't called for the vote yet. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Good job, and I guess we've met our legal requirement.
Yes, ma'am.
Typically, we provide a stipend to the Paso del Norte Foundation for Tracy's efforts, because she does this pro bono. And having getting somebody to do that work is not inexpensive. So I think in the past, it was what, 1,000,
Yes, ma'am.
2,000?
I believe it's 1,000.
Yeah. So I would like to provide a stipend, and I'll entertain a motion of an amount you feel that's appropriate.
I definitely agree on a stipend. What an appropriate amount is, I'm not too sure. I mean, what if,
What do you
How about
think?
1,500? I mean, because she's done a lot of work, and I think she spent a little more time this time doing some additional write-up. Is that?
does that go to her personally or to the
No,
foundation?
it goes to the foundation. We send it to the foundation on her behalf. We make a donation.
I think 1,500 sounds very reasonable for the work.
It doesn't go to her personally. We send it to her and thank her and say we're making a donation to the Paso Norte Health Foundation.
And why can't we give it to her personally?
She wouldn't accept it.
She doesn't want to take money directly from us.
Okay.
She volunteers, and so as a courtesy, because she's taken time away from her work on the foundation, and her job's to help raise money for the foundation, so I felt like that's what we've done in the past.
Okay. I make a motion, be $1,500.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And you can ask her, does she want it to go to the Health Foundation or just the regular foundation? I think you can distinguish. She may have a preference.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we'll go to number 5. Presentation, discussion, and action on a board resolution authorizing the award of the Valley Chili Reconstruction Project to the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, we do have a PowerPoint for you all today on this one. A couple of them, actually. I'll ask IT to bring that up. I'll give you some backup as it's coming up, though. This is the Valley Chili Road Reconstruction Project. This is a project that we partnered with Vinton, the Village of Vinton, and El Paso County. So this is what we'll talk through: the details of the project, the scope, timelines, bids received, and the requested board action. So I mentioned this is a joint project with the village, the county, and the CRRMA. We provided the original design work for this particular project. This project actually now includes 2 distinct components. The original project was actually the roadway reconstruction, which we did the design for through our IDC program. But then while we were preparing those design plans, the village went and received a grant from Congresswoman Escobar's office for the addition of water infrastructure for this roadway. So what we've done is that the village paid for the design work for that those water improvements, and we've combined those together and put them out as a single bid, and we will manage the construction of both components, utilizing the Congresswoman's grant for the water infrastructure and utilizing the normal MPO funds for the roadway construction. So that's how we've combined those two components. So as you note, there are federal funds, FHWA and HUD, and then the Village of Vinton has received a SIB loan, which we assisted in procuring for them, and also local funding. So this project will be managed, the construction project will be managed by Atkins Realis as our GEC. So this is the roadway. We've talked about it in the past, so I'll skim through this. I think we know what the roadway construction of the water includes installation of the water wastewater lines within the roadway. They will be connected later, but we're putting them in now since we're tearing up the roadway. So the role of the village is to provide construction funding and oversight as the ultimate owner for both water and roadway. Ultimately, they will have El Paso Water manage the water infrastructure for them, but they will technically be the owner since they are installing it with an with a HUD grant. The RMA prepared and led the project for construction, and then we'll do the construction management, and that's, as I mentioned, through Atkins Realis. Here's the timeline to get us here. Back in June, we advertised, we opened the bids in July, and here we are today asking for the award of the project and authorizing staff to negotiate a construction contract. So we think we could start as early as October. This one should take about 25 months for both water and roadway, and we should be done in fall of '26. Here are the bids. You'll note there was a fourth bidder. Unfortunately, we determined that bid was incomplete, so we had to throw out that bid there noted as the fourth item. So the engineer's probable cost of construction came in at $11.2 million. That's, again, for both water and roadway. And the low bid came in at under that, at 11.1. Unfortunately, this one was a little bit complicated for us because the roadway bids came in high and the water came in low. So as we've discussed, we've got two funding sources, so we can't blend them. So that made it a little difficult for us and took us a little bit of time to make this one work. But ultimately, we've gotten there. So with that, then, I'm asking for a motion to approve a board resolution that would do two things. Select Jordan Foster Construction as the lowest responsible bidder and authorize staff to negotiate a construction contract. Now, we would bring that back to you all in its final form hopefully next month, asking for final authorization to sign it. Happy to answer any questions, but I would recommend approval of this.
Any questions from anyone?
I move to approve. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
Second.
So we have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. For the record, Ms. Byrd has joined the meeting. So
I'd
I'm not sure
like
that's
to ask a
reflected.
question. That, I just happened to meet one of the business owners there along Valley Chili Road, and they're really excited about this. I mean, they've been living with that mess down there for a long time, so they're really excited about this. And he said, "Who are you guys again? What do you do?" So I think when we talked about putting signage up on projects that we do, I think this would be an appropriate place for us to.
This is like a CRRMA project or whatever,
Yes, ma'am.
managed project or something.
And we have those designs, so we can add those to the boards. We do have a representative from Jordan Foster. Should you have any questions of them, they're here as well. But yeah, we'll absolutely do that on this project and going forward.
Going forward, I think it's really important.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
All right, so we've already voted on that. Any other discussion before I move on? Number 6, presentation, discussion, and action on a board resolution authorizing the award of the automated weather observing system project to a vendor that submitted the lowest and best quote and authorizing the execution of a construction contract.
Okay, we've got another PowerPoint for you on this one. This one is also unfortunately a little bit unique, but we'll go through it here. Same general agenda. I'll walk you through how we got here today. AWAS, we've talked about this quite a few times. This is a system that's needed for the Fabens Airport. We do have a representative from the county here should you have any questions of them. But this is, of course, a joint project between the RMA and the County of El Paso. The project included the original design and now the installation of the AWAS system at the Fabens Airport. Construction budget comes from El Paso County funds. So this project was designed by Atkins Reales, and the construction management will be provided by HNTB. So we're using both of our GECs on this particular project. So we talked about this. I'll skip through this. I think we know what the AWAS is now. In essence, it's providing real-time weather information for pilots, which is really important for our area here. The role of the county is to serve as the owner, to provide construction fundings and guidance on any questions that come up as we're building this thing. The RMA prepared and led the project, and we will do the management of the construction oversight as well. So here's some aerials. This is all part of your backup, so I'm skimming through this pretty quickly, but happy to slow down or stop if you want to discuss any of it. Here's the timeline that got us here. Back in May, we advertised. The bids were due on June 11th. Now, we didn't receive any bids on this one. So this, as you may recall, we've amended our procurement policies to allow us a process to go out and solicit quotes when we don't receive any bids. So we did that in July and August. Through August, we had received 3 different quotes. And so then today, we're proposing award and the execution of a construction contract. This one, we think we could start in, by January. It should take about 3 months, and we should be done by April. That's our thought. So the low bid, a little bit hard to see here, but the lowest quote that we received was from Tri-State. The engineer's probable cost of construction was $449,000, and the low bid came in at $457,000, so just over the engineer's estimate. I would note, too, first time we received a bid or a quote from Tigua Inc., and they've solicited a couple of our construction bids that are out on the street today, too, so that could be exciting for us. So that takes us to the motion being requested, looking for authorization or approval of a board resolution to allow 2 things. 1, to select Tri-State as the vendor that submitted the lowest and best quote, and 2, to authorize staff to execute a construction contract with Tri-State. Happy to answer any questions, but I would recommend approval of this item.
Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
And I'd just like to abstain. My firm, Mount Screen Myers, has done work with Tri-State, I think, in the past, so just to make it cleaner, I'd
Okay,
like
no
to
problem.
abstain.
So we have a motion and a second with Board Member Perez abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion, number 7, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the following actions as they relate to the I-10 frontage road extension project. A, ratify execution of an amendment to the advanced funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation, and B, authorize execution of an amendment to work authorization number 2 with Consort Engineers, LLC.
Okay, this, as read into the record, deals with I-10 frontage road extension. This is a joint project that we're developing with TxDOT. We are doing the design for this particular extension of the frontage roads. I got a little ahead of myself under 7A, which is why you're seeing a request for ratification. Ultimately, what we're doing here is adding additional geotech services. The bores that are needed for this particular project need to be deeper than originally scoped. TxDOT has reviewed and approved that. And in fact, they sent over an amendment to the advanced funding agreement to provide the funding for us to complete this additional work. And I signed it, and Robert reminded me that I hadn't brought it to the board, so I apologize for that. But I am asking under 7A to ratify the execution of that amendment. Then item 7B is asking for authorization to execute the work authorization with Consort to actually complete the additional geotechnical services. So with that, I would recommend approval, but happy to answer any questions.
Are there
I'll
any
move to-
questions? Okay, I'm sorry.
Move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, discussion and action on board resolutions authorizing the execution of the following instruments as they relate to the Town of Horizon City's transit-oriented development rezoning project. A, the interlocal with the town of Horizon City, and B, the work authorization number 69 with Atkins Realis USA, Inc.
Okay, this one is an interesting new type of work that we've been asked to help Horizon City with. They have a transit-oriented development, and in fact, actually, we've got a graphic, if I could ask IT to bring that up to show you where it is. It's essentially along Darrington. They have an existing transit-oriented development, and they're looking to us to rezone it for them. So there you see, this is the exhibit from the interlocal agreement that's part of your backup. You see Darrington there and Horizon Boulevard at the southern end of the graphic. So we will provide rezoning services through Atkins Realis, and in fact, a sub to Atkins Realis will provide those services. So under item 8A, you've got the interlocal agreement with Horizon City, which provides the funding for these activities, and then 8B is work authorization with Atkins Realis to actually complete the services. So these have been reviewed and approved by Horizon City. Will go to their council, I believe, later this month, and happy to answer any additional questions. Otherwise, I would recommend approval of this item.
That's pretty interesting, that we're continuing to even expand the type of work we're doing as it relates to planning for transportation. Okay. Colonel? Nothing? Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 9, presentation and discussion on a change order approved by the Executive Director for the John Hayes Street Extension Project.
Okay, we've got another PowerPoint for you on this one. There will be no action. And I'm actually going to walk you through a couple of different change orders for this one. Okay, as backup, you may remember board resolution authorizes the executive director to approve certain change orders. We've got two of them for you today. The first one deals with the Fabian Sidewalk project, which is essentially just about complete. This is a project that we're handling in partnership with El Paso County. We encountered a TxDOT traffic signal ground box that had to be relocated. So the change order that you see there was for $11,000. As a reminder, the resolution that authorizes me to approve these, as long as they're under $50,000, I can approve them, and as long as I bring them back to you at the following month. So that's why you're seeing this one here. And then the second one deals with John Hayes, another project that we're developing in partnership with El Paso County. This one is a junction box that needs to be installed at the cost of $23,000. That was approved by El Paso County as well. So that one's being funded by El Paso County. We do have a representative from El Paso County, but they have approved both of these. In fact, all of these change orders that are being funded by a third party, we require third-party authorization before we approve them. That's been received, and these have been approved. So no actions required, but I am required to bring that to you for your information.
Any questions or concerns? Okay, then we'll move forward to number 10, staff report. A, consultant name change, Atkins North America, Inc. to Atkins Realis USA, Inc. B, consultant acquisition, DEC El Paso LLC by Gannett Fleming, Inc. And C, projects moving forward to construction, and there are several projects listed, so.
Yes, ma'am. So very briefly, items A and B are really just for your information more than anything else. Atkins North America, which is the entity we've been partnering with for so many years, has changed their name, and you saw that on some of the earlier items. So Atkins Realis USA, Inc. is their formal name. They now go by Atkins Realis. Similarly, with item B, DEC is commonly known here as Dannenbaum. They were acquired by Gannett Fleming, so that's the new name. And you'll see that in some of our contracts going forward, but just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then lastly, under C, it seems as though we're in a wave of transition from a lot of design services into construction. So I just wanted to flag that for you all. And I know you've seen each of these come before you as we put them out on the street, but it's just an interesting time, and I thought I'd note it. So Valley Chili Road reconstruction, of course, was awarded today. AWAS was awarded today as well. T-Hangers is out on the street, so we're very excited about that one as well. And then, of course, Weiler is out there on the street as well. We're expecting bids on Weiler, I believe, September 17th, if I remember correctly. So we've got some really interesting projects coming in soon. There were several. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So we're moving. One other note, I just thought I would mention, I didn't put it on the agenda, but our own Mr. Studer has been elected as the pension board chair or president.
Not quite as prestigious as alternate secretary, but
Exactly, exactly. Keep that in mind. That's awesome, Robert.
That's all I have for you under 10. No action required.
Any questions from anybody? Discussion? All right, then we'll go to number 11, quarterly presentations, updates, and discussion on the following programs or projects. Borderland Expressway project.
Microphone.
13 El Paso County.
Ms. Wilson, your microphone?
Item 11, quarterly presentation, update, and discussion on the following programs or projects. A, Borderland Expressway Project, B, the 2013 El Paso County Comprehensive Mobility Plan, and C, Pelicano Drive widening.
Okay, these will be very brief. Borderland Expressway, I don't have much to share with you on the project itself. We know that TxDOT is under construction for Phase 1. I did meet with the new city manager yesterday to discuss Transportation Reinvestment Zone number 3, which we had discussed about potentially using that as a funding source. They are still supportive of that. And so I'll be working with Paul Braden as our outside counsel to put something together to make that happen. So that's TRZ number 3 to support Borderland Expressway. Item B is a 20.
On item A, did we announce last time at the last meeting that the TIP included $419 million for Phase 2 of the Borderland Expressway?
I'm not sure that we did.
Okay. Okay, well, Phase 2 has been funded, I think, to the tune of $419 million, which funds all of our portions of the Borderland Expressway, exception of Phase 3, which is a section that includes Fort Bliss property. So that was huge. We've been waiting for that for several years to come forth. I say again. Well, that all helped, like the TERS and.
So the TERS would be the local match?
Yeah. That's our contribution to the.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
reason I'm asking is that typically these require a local match. And I know in the budget this year, when they were putting it together, they didn't fund any local matches.
the TRZs, I think, are not usually, they're a separate funding source, and
So
they wouldn't be identified
is
as.
that a source that they'll use for this as the local match, as
Yes,
far as
ma'am.
you know? Okay, well,
That's
that's
the
fine
idea.
then.
That's what, so we've talked about the concept with TxDOT. They're not exactly sure where to plug it in just yet, but they recognize that that is clearly local funding.
That'll be local funding.
Yes, ma'am.
We just need to pay attention to that so we don't get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like it was where specific dollar amounts on local matches are required, like in grant applications and those kinds of things. This actually came out of the state and federal funds, the 12 and 2, is it?
Those categories.
Also, even when it comes out of there, it's usually not 100%.
There's always a request for skin in the game,
Yeah.
as they use the
Yeah.
term, right? So this,
It's usually a percentage, sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's less. We just need to make sure that if we get that money and it's in. Oh, I'm sorry. I turned it off because I'm hearing like when other people's on. So it's really important that if we get the money, that we make sure that there's a local match available. Otherwise, it'll get bogged down.
yes, ma'am. And the city is supportive of it, city staff.
Yeah, that's good.
And several representatives that we met with, council representatives.
Yeah. And I think if you're working on the TERS, that will cover everything, and then we'll be really in good shape.
Yes, ma'am. So that takes us then to item 11B, the 2013 Comprehensive Mobility Plan. That's been provided as part of your backup. Happy to answer any questions on that one. Otherwise, that takes us to item C, Pelicano. No need to go into executive for this one, since we met not too long ago on it. However, a couple of updates. We do have mediation is now formally scheduled for September 26th. You may recall we had a tentative date of September 5th. However, we pushed that in order to invite or make sure that the surety could attend. So we think that's an important addition. So that is now scheduled for September 26th, and I'll of course be there for that. And then the other item is
the construction.
Before I get there, in the event that mediation doesn't work, we have scheduled a hearing on the declaratory judgment action that we've submitted for November.
Okay.
So that has been scheduled with the judge. Outside of that, the design plans that we have been talking about repackaging and putting together for the surety have been pushed to 95%. We've provided that to the surety, and we are awaiting comments back from them. So everything is still in motion,
Okay, very good.
but no action on item 11 either.
Any questions or discussion about any of these items? Are there any other items for executive session or other business?
No, ma'am?
Oh, we didn't have public comment, but does anyone in the audience have anything to add before we adjourn? Okay. All right, well, if there's no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It is 9:34 a.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good.